Megan!
Woo!
Oh my God, we're back. It's actually been a while.
I was actually never gone, but
It's true. It's true. We've been in hiding. Away from you two.
in my little teepee of secrets.
In our teepee of secrets, we've been telling stories about what it is to keep an open heart. And all of a sudden we're like, what the crap is with that? Like, what does it mean to live a life with an open heart? So welcome back, everyone, to What the Crap episodes with Krystal and Megan. I'm Krystal, authenticity coach, and this is...
I have no idea who I am this week, but my birth name is Megan. I'm only joking. It's Steve.
Steve.
It's Steve. New York's hottest nightclub is Steve. Anyway, I think this concept of understanding what it means to live with an open heart has been on our, guess what, our hearts this week, or at least I guess the last two, for both Krystal and I in a big, big way. And Krystal, I guess I'll shoot it over to you because I don't know what to say.
I love how we keep it real. Hashtag authentic up in here. Yeah, so, wow. I mean, this is a loaded topic, which is why it's a what the crap episode. I think the fundamental difference for me of living with a heart wide open versus a heart closed is not only the opportunities that come in, but also just the way that it feels. So I know very well what it's like to keep my heart shut down and safe and everyone at a distance. For instance, like the last year of my life, I've said I love you 1,000 million universes times another universe is more than I've ever said I love you before in my life. And that used to be reserved for myself of like just family members when it was like the least awkward situation that I could possibly conjure up to say, I love you. Yeah, I love you. I love you too. Bye. Right? But now,
I don't really mean that. Yeah, just kidding. Like, no, I don't. Just kidding.
Bye. Like, we know how that goes. I don't know why that is. I mean, it's kind of a choice. Sometimes we're ushered into it, but anyway, that's a whole other topic. So over the last year of really opening my heart up and saying, like, my heart's actually available so much more than it ever has been. And that was a choice of just saying, like, I actually want to feel something here. I was coming out of a lot of numbness, and putting my heart out there was like a big no-no. And all of a sudden, I set the intention. It was actually beginning of 2013, where I'm like, oh my God, I really want to experience love. And I was talking romantic love, but what ended up opening up was all the other opportunities to love in my life that I had no idea were even there. Like, I tell you I love you every day because I fucking love you, man.
I fucking love you, man. I love
you. Right? But like, that used to be a no-no. Like, why would I ever say to a friend that was a girl that I love them? That was like, you don't do that. And then guy friends, I'm like, what are they going to think about it? If I tell them I love it, they're going to tell stories and all these things, and I get to be all up in my head about it. But the truth is, like, there's enough love to go around. It's a bottomless pit of love, and the more love you give, the more love you receive. Mm-hmm. How can you go wrong with that?
You know what's so interesting? I'm about to tell you. No, you don't know. When you said the word available, I think now more than ever, when I hear you say that word, it has such power behind it. Like, you meant it when you said that. When she said, I am available, she didn't say, yeah, I'm available right now. She's like, I am 100% available. Like, there was real intention set behind that word. And it's been such a ride with you, like witnessing your heart opening and really receiving that love. As a friend, I guess that's the other part of it too, is at the same time that you might be opening your heart to other people, you're also opening yourself up to a lot of things. And one of those things is to receiving that love. And also, I think one of the key words that comes up for me around this is discernment. And I think this heart opening and living with a heart open for me has been really something I'm playing around with lately, is because I'm learning that discernment. Like, who am I open in front of? Who am I not open in front of? When should I be open? When should I not be open? When should I be closed? When am I closed and I really need to be open? And like, what value does that provide for me? And what value does that provide for the world too?
Can I ask you,
Yeah.
if you had to define discernment, what would it be? Because that's actually a word, when I first heard it, I had to look up.
Oh, discernment. Yeah. Discernment to me is a certain knowingness. And it's that knowingness. Well, discernment is more like to know the difference, right? But there's that knowing that you and I talk about all the time, that's like knowing something from here where you're like, yeah, I know that. Or knowing something where you like really know it. Like, you know what it, like there's something behind that knowing that just resonates through your body like nothing else does. That anything that comes from this space ever does. And so this making the choice between, is this a appropriate time, or person, or place, or what a scenario to open in front of. And you know what, Krystal, to be honest, like sometimes the answer is no. And that's totally fine too, because I reflect back to that poem that you and I shared with each other by Danielle Laporte, that was about like wide open heart, but a huge F-bomb fence. And that's about learning the balance, learning the balance. And I think I'll share an example. I'll share an example. Because I'm almost like, what do I want to give away? But I guess I'll just go for it. Heart open.
Oh, girl, go for it.
Here it goes.
Love it.
There's a lot on my heart about grief, just based on the losses that I've had. And when we were in Portland for this conference called WDS a few weeks ago, I arrived just feeling really heavy and just feeling a lot of emotional pain around that. And sometimes when I feel this emotional pain, stuff comes up in my head that's like, you're not going to be accepted by anybody, so you can't openly share this or anyone. You're going to, end up alone. And the funny thing about that is that I actually isolate on purpose and end up alone. And I literally like could not leave my hotel room that day. Because to go to events and such, because I'm feeling this way. And I had this thought cross my mind that it was like, okay, well, if life is fundamentally meaningless and this is like the worst thing that could happen to me right now, which it is, then it's not going to get any worse than me setting one foot outside of this hotel room and trying. And so I was like, okay, I'm going to set the goal to just go on a mini walk. I don't have to go to the events. Like, I just have to leave my hotel room. So I did. And then that felt okay. And then the next step was like, okay, I'm going to go to this authentic relating, which Krystal can go into what that is later. I won't try to explain. And I was like, okay, I'm just going to show up to this this event and just stand on the outside of the circle and watch. And then that felt comfortable. And then this group is essentially everyone like just sharing with strangers what's real for them. And I said, okay, you know what? I'm going to take this, for me, discernment or inner knowingness. I looked around that circle and I saw about 7 friends, and I literally one by one spotted their faces. And I knew within inside myself, you know what? No matter what happens in this group or whatever I say, I know that these people, like Krystal included, are going to love me no matter what. So I'm going to give a stab at just like opening up and speaking my truth about what's really on my heart right now. Mostly for the sake of feeling like I can connect and that I can belong, because we all fundamentally as human beings need to connect, and we need that sense of belonging. Like, we need each other.
Yes.
And like the hardest part about opening your heart sometimes is being the one to go first.
Nailed it. You took the words out of my mouth.
Like, I have chills, right?
Woo!
Because I got into this group and I said, okay, I'm going to challenge myself to go first and say exactly what is on my heart. And it went unexpectedly well.
Yes.
Because instead of being shunned by people, I was embraced. I was embraced by people who were going through the same thing, who were feeling the same way, but because of different circumstances. And there was just love that was blossoming within this group. And I ended up making these like deep, amazing, heartfelt, friends forever kind of connections with people because I took that risk to live with my heart open. And that's what living with your heart open means to me, is being the one to go first.
I just like, there's so much that's relatable in what you just shared for all of us. Like, I'm totally speaking for everyone listening to this, but it is the human condition, right? To feel weary, especially when we have experiences that tell us otherwise. That it's like, last time I did this, I got my heart handed to me, smashed down the side of the sidewalk, stomped on a few times, and they pieced out. Right? Like, how many times does that happen? But if we go into it looking for that shit, we're going to find it. We're going to find every reason in the book to prove our story right. And living a heart wide open is exactly where that shit gets put on its head, and you get to prove to yourself that it can end a different way. But unless we're open to it, it's going to turn out the same way. Right? And it's freaking courageous what you did. To think that you might have not been there that day breaks my heart, because everything would have been fundamentally different without you. The experiences that you provided for people of sharing exactly where you are and who you are in that moment, that's the gift. We think that that's the scars. We think that that's like the bad shit, that the imperfections that people don't want. Are you kidding? Like, that's the good stuff. Right? And by you going first and volunteering that first, you gave permission to everyone else in your surroundings to go there too. You are an absolute gift that day.
Isn't that amazing, right? That you can have a script inside your head that says, if people really knew what's going on with me right now, they wouldn't love me. If people really knew what's going on with me right now, they wouldn't accept me. They would say, why are you feeling that? You don't have permission to feel that. When in reality, it pans out to be the exact opposite, where people love you more because of that thing. And when you open up, it gives them permission to open up and be themselves. And then you get called courageous for it.
Who'd have thought, like, who sees that coming? We don't even see it coming because we're so wrapped up in the fantastical stories that our ego conjures up to keep us isolated in our rooms, alone, crying, feeling desperate. We don't realize how much of this we create. We are the co-creators of every moment that we have on this planet. Everything in our life, every person in our life, every drama in our life, every choice in our life, we are showing up to all of it. We are generating it. Right? So you had the fork in the road, right? Stay in my room and be alone, or step out and see what happens. And just that little sliver of light cracking through your heart just busted that wide open.
Yeah, and it was also, that was a very real experience for me too, because I wasn't the only one that was sharing. I needed to, it's not that I want other people to suffer.
Right.
Well, maybe, but but when these other people in the group are, I intended that to be funny. It was a joke. It was a joke. When these other people in the group are opening up and talking about what's real for them, even if I couldn't relate to the exact scenario about what was going on in these people's lives, right? Because I'm not them. And their life experience and all the things that they need to learn and the way that they're going to learn it is different than my life experience and what I need to learn and how I'm going to learn it. But there's fundamental things on a very human level that are relatable. Like when someone was talking about feeling like a failure because they are worried about one day they're not going to add up to the expectations that they had of themselves in their creative career. And she was like, who's with me? And I'm like, I've totally felt that way some point in my life, or someone feeling like guilty for something, or someone feeling, X way or X way. Like all these feelings, even though our circumstances are different, these feelings are relatable. And when I heard people say these things out loud, I almost felt like,
exhale.
A sigh of relief that like, wow, this person's not perfect. And that means, well, I know I'm not perfect, but this makes me feel okay about not being perfect.
It's so good.
It's so good.
It's so good. I wonder if, yeah, like for me, other ways that I've had to keep my heart open is to, I mean, obviously in the romantic love department, I mean, the love department, ladies and gentlemen. Um, there's been so many lessons in that department for me over the past year. And I was actually just thinking back, wow, this is like so powerful for me. I was thinking back to a guy that I was dating earlier this year, and he decided to call it off. And his reasons I could feel intuitively were not lining up with what he was saying, but like, if he's in, he's in. If he's out, right? So just giving him the space to decide for himself. And I'm like, awesome. Like, that's what you're deciding. I'm a little sad about it, but I'm just going to take some time for me to reflect on it. And I had heard him say in that conversation that, but I still want to be friends. And I went to town with the stories of what that meant. I'm like, that's just a consolation prize. I'm getting all sassy about it. I'm like, like he doesn't have the privilege of being a friend with me.
Girl, I've been there.
I'm just listening to myself. It's really funny.
What, do you think this is free lunch?
Honey, what are you thinking? It's really funny hearing myself now, but I was like convicted on that. Mm-hmm. I'm like, that shit, like, I'm not going to allow that. But a week later, I gave myself some space, right, to just like process. I really committed to feeling everything that was coming up, right? Because I didn't want to take the shit forward in the next guy, in the next, and the next. So I took time, and then we ended up talking a week later. And he brought it up. I kind of let it alone. He's like, I still really want to be friends with you. And I'm like, I'm really glad that you brought it up on one hand, because I wasn't sure if you were serious about it before. He's like, Krystal, like, you mean so much to me. And even though, like, the dating realm isn't going to work out, I have so much love for you. And I don't think that should stop here. And, like, energetically, I'm like, oh, yeah? Yeah, okay. That's, like, big puffed up ego inside. Like,
so funny.
Yeah, okay.
That just makes me want to hug you more.
But like, as I softened throughout the conversation, if I wasn't up in my head about it and got down in my heart about it, I could feel that what he was saying was true. And that's a paradigm shift for me, because anyone that I've ever broken up with, it's either been this long, drawn out, I love you, but we can't, or it's just like, F you, peace, right? Like, I'd rather be mad at you than actually work something out. So what that has opened up, the reason I thought of it last night is because we just got dinner last night. We just got dinner, and it was the most loving exchange. It always is. It's more and more loving every time we see each other, even though we're not dating. He's dating someone, I'm dating someone, and we were actually sharing about that together at dinner, celebrating how far we've come since we dated each other in, like, earlier this year. That's keeping your heart open. That's keeping your heart open to the possibilities that you don't even know are possible. That shit is not what we see in the movies. That's not what we hear about in our, in our friends' lives or our parents' lives, right? Keeping your heart open is keeping open to the possibilities that you literally don't even know are there. But just that moment of consideration, while I was like huffing and puffing to just like softening a little bit, that's what opened up for me. I have no regrets there. And I would have had no idea what I was missing had I not opened up to that.
That's the good stuff, isn't it?
That's the good stuff.
I just want to repeat that. Like, you would have had no idea what you were missing had you not made that choice. That's what happens when we close off.
Yeah. That's worth the risk.
Krystal, I think the most important question that I have for you is, you kind of hit on this a little bit, but how do you do it then? If you feel Mrs. freaking Sass, you can't hurt me, whatever, this person's crap, inner mean girl coming out. Mm-hmm. How do you stop the inner mean girl? And how do you heal from that? And then how do you open your heart back up again? Mm-hmm. Or how do you even keep your heart open when you want so badly to close?
that's it. I think all of the questions that you ask come down into that moment of how do I even possibly conceive of choosing differently than I have in the past? And honestly, you just have to be so fed up with what you've been doing and so clear that it's not what you want to even be in the place of considering something different. Mm-hmm. So it's not like I'm going to wave a magic wand and say, here's the answer, y'all. Like, you're going to come to a point where you are so sick and tired of the same stuff showing up in your life over and over and over and over again that you're going to get to a point, you're going to look in someone's eyes and they're going to ask and demand truth from you and authenticity from you. And you're going to have a mirror staring back at you of the choice that you have to make. And it's up to you. The old way is the true and tried and true way. You know the ending. You know the ending. We know the ending every time. We think, oh no, this guy's going to be different. It's going to be fine. It's okay. I'll justify it up, down, and sideways to all my friends so that they can get on board with me. But like, I know that I am not being honest with myself about this, that this is actually the way that I want to show up. Inner sass girl is basically inner hurt. Inner hurt girl. She's hurt somewhere. Somewhere she had to put the guard up to say, don't mess with me, right? You've messed with me enough. I'm not available for that anymore. Wall up, separate. I am not available for love right now. So it's when you decide to take that, and I'm telling you, it's just a peek over the wall, just for starters, to let the water kind of flood through. But you have to actually be willing to look over that wall to see what's on the other side. Otherwise, do what you do and commit to it, go hard at it, but you know how it's going to end.
Mm-hmm. I think one fundamental thing that I'm hearing you say is it all starts with the acknowledgement of your own patterns. You have to, in order for this to even start, is you have to be able to recognize that you're having a pattern occur.
Yeah.
So if something in your love life, in your friendship life, in your family life, anything that has to do with relationships keeps happening over and over and over, it's not them. It's you. And so can you get clear on what exactly that pattern is by doing a little bit of like relationship autopsy, as Krystal calls it before, and just kind of going in and having a little peek about like, what is that thing that just keeps coming up? And then evaluate like, how can I respond differently the next time? I think, Krystal, the other thing that makes a big difference to me in a scenario like this is having one friend who's going to hold me accountable to change. Your support group is everything about the person you are and the person that you want to become. Because let's just say my inner hurt girl is making her grand appearance, as it sometimes does, and I have those friends that I know that I can call that are going to support her in her rampage. Mm-hmm. I can call them.
Oh, yeah.
And they're going to say exactly what my inner voice is saying about,
oh, yeah.
That
what
guy,
a jerk. Oh,
what a jerk.
God, how could he?
Screw this person.
F
you know
him.
what? You don't need them.
You're
fine on your own.
We know. I've been that girl. I've been that friend.
Oh, I've been that friend to other people too.
Absolutely.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, because this is the era of the independent woman. This is the stuff that's playing in the lyrics of the songs that we listen to. You know, if you listen to Kelly Clarkson music, can't think of any of her songs. I do love her, but like, you know, if you make any of those songs your anthem, they're telling you basically to do that. But a good example is like, I had Miss Sassafras show up last week. And I called Krystal because I needed support, because I recognized in my head, okay, this is a pattern. This is like my stuff coming up. I need someone to support me in this because I'm not going to stuff. I'm going to choose to let it out because I need to. And she said, girl, vent. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And I was like, I just said all of the inner monologue was like, blah, you know, like, blah, blah, like this stuff was coming out.
Yep.
And then after that was over, she was quiet. And she said, are you done now? I said, yeah, that felt awesome because it needs to come out because that's an important thing in a friendship is just bearing witness to somebody and allowing them to have their platform to just release whatever it is that's going on there and not making them wrong for it, but also not playing into it, and just being like, it's coming out, and then she goes, okay, you're done, right? Is that it? And I probably added a few more choice things. No. And then it was like, okay, Megan, you're a storyteller. And that was a very, very compelling story. It comes from your ego. Now kindly tell your ego to off and step aside. Because my goal now isn't to be this, I don't need anybody, I don't have any needs, cold-hearted, fine on my own, independent woman. Mm-hmm. I'm looking for partnership, like real, wholehearted partnership and authentic relationships with people in general. And that ego and all those old stories that served me at one time when I was, when I was a little girl and I was younger and I didn't know any better. Thank God they were there to protect me then, but I don't need them anymore. And it's okay to open my heart and let them go. And then also, I think the next thing that came up, just to be real, was sheer terror. Ooh, sheer terror, so because I have no idea now that I'm in, and total discomfort because I have, and anxiety. Anything else? No, that sounds about right. Because I have no idea how this is going to go next. Yeah. Because as you said, this other place, this closed off place, sure, it might lead me to be alone. It might lead me to be independent woman. Da-da-da. And it's familiar, but it's not this new squishy space that I want, that I'm calling in for my life. And it's squishy. But in that place, it's like once you start to play in the new arena, you get to then experience what it's like. So the discomfort and the unknown and the uncertainty and the terror start to dissipate as you experience yourself as this new and other open-hearted person. And it is worth it's worth all of everything that happens. And the other thing that I thought of is, yes, you will get hurt. There's a chance that you will, because somewhere along the line, like maybe what's vibing for you is not going to vibe for somebody else. Mm-hmm. And that's totally okay, because guess what? Like I fully recognize that maybe like I'm going to express who I really am for someone. They're not going to like it. Maybe I'm going to get rejected, and that's really going to be like, ow. But it presents a new and different opportunity. Like maybe I got rejected by somebody, and that makes me want to close down and go back to my old ways. But it gives me an opportunity to open up to someone else. And I mean that in like, I can call Krystal, or I can call one of my other friends and have a real conversation with them. Let's just say you're worried about getting hurt and rejected by someone else. It's a possibility that will happen, and likely, it might. But if staying open means taking that experience where you got hurt and things are a little owie, and taking it back to a place where you know that you can get comfort and support, so that you're still living by that goal of living open-hearted. Only you're just sharing it with someone different. Yes. It's the same.
It's still the same. It's still love. It's still communication. It's still connection. It's still authenticity. It's the same stuff. I actually just shared with a client, and I'll share this and we can wrap up. I shared with a client that there is no reason why the way that you show up here with me, so open, so authentic, so real and self-reflective, and just like owning, like, oh yeah, I see myself there. Ugh, that's not pretty, but like I own that. The way that you show up in our dynamic of that openness, you can show up in every area of your life that same way. That is authenticity. It is not putting this version of myself forward and this version of myself to you, because guess what? That gets exhausting and really confusing. It's like, oh, who was I to that person last time? And like, oh shit, stories are crossing. It basically becomes a big lie, right? So the way that you show up in a romantic relationship is the way that I show up with you, is the way I show up with my parents, is the way I show up at work. That's the invitation. So don't just think that because the romantic relationship isn't there that I can't actually open up. You're just limiting yourself. You got to open your heart a little bit more. Just see if you can do it.
Yeah. Amen, sister. And you know, it's not like, in terms of where to get started with this, it's not like you got to just show up to some strange person at work that you've had the Jones for and be like, yo, man.
Water cooler, honey.
And just tell them, be like, your deepest, darkest, you know. Probably the secret sauce to becoming more open-hearted is just starting with little steps that might feel insignificant, but really are leading you in the right direction. Like choosing in a moment to share exactly how you feel in that moment. Like, hey, can I tell you something? I'm actually feeling really nervous going into this party right now because you're the only person I know, and sometimes when I enter new social settings, like, I just feel a little bit awkward. That's a truth, you know? Like, you don't have to be
so
like,
cute, like, so
everyone
endearing.
in my family died when I was a kid, you know? Like,
right.
It can be like, you know what? I feel really lonely today. Like, just spending a lot of time alone, or I feel disappointed that X thing didn't work out at work and I really wanted that. You know, just starting with like little bits of truth that you feel like you can share with someone that you at least mildly trust, just so you can get in the practice of initiating those types of relationships with people, especially if you feel like you're skating on the surface on a lot of your relationships. Just going back to the point that we made earlier, that sometimes you have to be the person to go first.
Yeah. I feel like there's an invitation here to invite our viewers to go first out in their world. And I'm so curious to hear more about that, of how that goes. So where can you go first? Where can you go first? Is it with the person at work, or is it the person on the bus? Of just like sensing, because we're also very empathic to each other. We feel each other's energies. We feel it whether we know it consciously or not. But just noticing like the sad face, like, how's your day going? You know, and they can say whatever they say. I'm like, yeah, I totally get that, right? I had a weird moment this morning. It could have ruined my day, but I decided not to let it, right? And I'm here with you. And I'm just really grateful to be having this conversation. It's like so easy. And what you walk away with is like that loving connection, those moments. It's all moments. That's it. Like the reason you get to a 7-year relationship is by like 7 million little moments along the way, right? We don't end up in long-term relationships by ignoring what's actually happening. We have to be enjoying ourselves. So enjoy yourself. But you got to show yourself. Let us see more of you.
And if nothing comes to mind that you feel like you want to share, something that you could very easily do is pick one of your friends at random. And I would encourage you to call, but if you can't call, then no, I think I would encourage you to call. Never mind. And tell them something along the lines of how grateful you are for their friendship. Or if you're like ready for balls out, then say, I love you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So good.
And if you feel your heart racing,
That's
it should be.
Sign. Kudos to you. That's a good sign. That means you care.
Well, I'm so glad we did this.
Honey.
So glad we did this.
I'm so glad we opened our hearts to each other. It's just so wonderful.
Yeah. Because I don't know about you, Krystal, but this conversation for me was an example of me opening my heart. Because I shared some things, you know, I have no idea who's watching this, actually. Who knows?
Me too.
Yeah. But it feels good. It feels real.
Thank you for sharing yourself, girl.
Thank you for sharing yourself. Oh, my gosh. Okay, so if you're having fun having these kind of conversations with Krystal and I, we'd love to hear about it. And we'd also just like to hear what's going on for you right now and what kind of things you'd feel you'd like to jam with us on. We're always looking to initiate juicy conversations about the stuff that's on our mind and just getting real. So, I don't know, hit us up, and until next time.
Peace.